So today we have Mark Sobowitz in the studio with us. And Mark, what have you got for us? You've got something that you want to share?
Well, I have been a believer for over 40 years, and I grew up in Los Angeles originally, born in the Bronx, New York. And my parents and grandparents have passed away, and I have a younger brother, Richard, who unfortunately I haven't heard from in about 15, 16 years. But prior to coming to the Lord, I was born into a Jewish family, and I went through all the teachings that you can go through up until the age of 16. And I was bar mitzvahed, and I went to school through a local synagogue in Los Angeles until about the age of 16. And then my parents decided not to join anymore because they felt that there was more of a monetary motive to the faith as opposed to the faith itself. So they decided to leave. Well, in any case, from 16 until about 27, 28, I was sort of floating around between Judaism and whatever else interested me. And then I met my wife, who has since passed away, Kathy, and she wanted to go back to church when I met her. And when she lived with me in Los Angeles, she discovered a Church of Christ, which was a couple of blocks over.
So was Kathy a Christian?
Yes. Kathy was a Christian. She was baptized, not by immersion, but by the sprinkling of water. So what happened was that the Church of Christ, I reluctantly went in between Sundays when I was more interested in watching football than I was going to church.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what happened was that as I progressively went to church and with Kathy, I noticed that in the Church of Christ they have communion every Sunday. And what happened was that they would have the original matzah cracker, and if you are familiar with the symbolism of Passover, it's basically a cracker with, burn marks and things like that, showing the baking and whatever. And then I realized, wait a minute, this is not what I was expecting. So, because it was representing, my background in Judaism, I said, wait a minute, this is not right. So I decided to learn more about it and got involved in a Bible study, and I was discipled by the assistant pastor there at the church, and so gradually, after 2 or 3 years, I decided, after reading the promises in the Old Testament as well as the fulfillments in the New Testament, after a period of time, I decided to give my life to the Lord. And I was fortunate enough to be in a Church of Christ that was one of the main churches of Pepperdine University. And it just so happened that the lead minister there was the head of the religion department, Dr. Frank Pack. And so, unbeknownst to Kathy and to everybody else that knew me, there was one Sunday about 40 years ago in September, I believe, where I came forward when they asked, and I was baptized. And at that time, it was like a revelation. You have a person who is of a Jewish background getting baptized. Didn't happen at that time as frequently as it does now. And so I progressively, went from there. And we developed, the associate pastor and I who discipled me, we developed a program called Christ in the Passover, which I've been able to share over the years. But basically, I went through my ups and downs with my faith, and focusing, more on me at times than I should have. And gradually, as we've reached this point, my faith has become stronger. And it might sound funny, but my faith has grown stronger due to the fact that my wife passed away. I know that sounds really strange, like, wait a minute, what's wrong with this picture? Well, the Lord has given me the opportunity to look to Him more and depend on Him more, especially without having, any family except Kathy's family that still lives here in Paso Robles. And it's been quite a ride, I must say. And so I think that by trusting in the Lord more and depending on Him for everything, I mean everything, and trying to break down the barriers that I've had before about seeking approval from others and other things like that have been things in my mind that I've had to deal with over the years. I'm a work in progress like everybody else, but
So how long have you been in the faith now?
about 40 years.
About 40 years. That's a good time. That's a good long time to
Yeah.
learn a lot.
So it's taken a while to reach this point, and I think through the passing of my wife and dealing with the reality of that, and the grief of that, and the sadness of that, I have grown stronger, and
That's good.
I have termed this in times the flipping of the switch when it comes to my thinking and dealing with situations and not dealing with them the way that I used to, because it's only, creating more of an obstacle. And the Lord was trying to break down, the barriers and saying, okay, you have to turn your thinking around in order to get closer to me, which is what I want to do. And I think anybody who is a believer would want to get closer to the Lord, and I am in that category. I'm still, fearful of things, but I turn to the Lord more than ever before. And it was interesting. I happened to work at Target department stores as a cashier, and the other night I was between customers and had a long talk with the Lord in my mind. Of course, I couldn't do that on the sales floor because it would look kind of strange, but I was thinking about, a certain situation that I'm going through, which I'm not going to go into the details, but it lasted, I don't know, about 10 or 15 minutes, it seemed like. And it was just me being honest with the Lord. And I think that that's what I'm trying to do more so, is to be honest with the Lord, to be more transparent. The Lord knows what I'm thinking. The Lord knows what I need and when I need it. And I think because of me trying to be more dependent on Him and trying to, develop a healthier perspective about my faith and things like that, that I have grown as an individual. And hopefully through a clarion voice and what we've tried to do and will continue to do is to communicate the message of the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. If you have Him in your life, then you will be that much better for it. It may not be for a while. You may have to wait for the light to clear, but I want to bring people into relationship with the Lord. That's my goal, because when you have a relationship with the Lord, you have everything, and I have everything, and I am grateful for everything that I have, and not necessarily from a material standpoint, but from a spiritual standpoint. And so that's me. That's what I'm about.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in and sharing your testimony. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.